Hi and welcome back to another Steve's Amateur Garage video. Today we're going to be doing the big job on the MGTF, my daily driver, just done over 110,000 miles now. Finally the head gasket has given up. They seem to last about 3 years and then they just give up. Mine just boiled, the temperature went up really quickly. Pulled to one side, let it cool down, drove it home a couple of miles, it was fine. But we need to get that head gasket off, get the head off, inspect it, make sure there's no damage, make sure it's not warped. If it is, it becomes a bigger job, and see if the amateur mechanic can replace the head gasket on an MGTF. Let's go. As always, it's safety first, so we have the rear of the car jacked up on an axle stands, and we have the negative terminal on the battery disconnected just to be on the safe side. We've folded forward the hood and removed the engine access cover, and the first step is to drain the cooling system. And to do that we just simply undo the two main cooling pipes underneath the car. To speed up the draining process, I always remove the little bung from the top of the radiator, and this is probably a good time to turn the heater control to maximum, because when you come to fill it up, that's where it needs to be. And the next step is to remove the right hand engine mount bracket, which is this here. If you've watched one of my latest videos, you'll have seen that I replaced the engine mount here. So I've had this off fairly recently. So we'll get that out of the way, and to do that we have to remove, or it's easier to remove, the right hand trailing arm from the suspension, which is one big bolt through here. Difficult to get the angle on it, but it will come out. The bottom of it's underneath the car, so you can get at it quite easily, and that connects to up here and further down here. Easily comes off. I always remove the anti-roll bar to just help it get out the way, and then remove the plastic undershield, a couple of screws and a little clip just there, and that's out the way. So we'll get that arm and that mount, which is this here, out the way. A couple of bolts down here, couple of bolts here, and a few big ones up the top, and obviously we'll have to support the engine before we remove those bolts. Now you can see the two big bolts that really support the engine to the bracket there. They're onto 100 Newton meters, so they're tight. They're also an 18mm, which is slightly unusual. And you can see the angle that they're at. The bodywork just gets in the way of putting a straight bar on them. So I'll get the wobbly socket on it, a bit of a bar, and probably some extensions to give it a bit of force, because it's going to be tight. Yeah, there we go. So wobbly socket on the bottom, a few extension bars, T-bar on, and I had a couple of extension bars on here as well to give me a bit of extra leverage, and we got those. The two bolts that hold the engine mount arm into the subframe, one of them is a 15mm, bolts downwards, that's that one in the middle of the picture there, and the other one is a 13mm, and that's underneath there, and that goes upwards, and it also holds this bracket on, which once the bolts are out the way, that bracket will slide off as well. So we have the bracket off the subframe there. That's the bracket that holds the front of the trailing arm. Big bolt goes through that hole there, and that, with the engine just pumped up a little bit, so you've got a little bit of room, this engine mount arm should just wiggle itself out almost through the gap, a bit like that. it's stuck now, but I'm sure I can whittle that out of the way. I'm sure you get the idea. Yeah, a little bit of jiggery pokery, a little bit of wiggling, and you just turn it till you get the right angle, and that will come right out, and there it is, safe and sound on the bench. Next step, remove the timing belt cover, just 5 little bolts that hold it in place. This one is a bit longer though, that's a big bolt, so we'll keep that in its hole and keep the others in a safe place. And then we can time the engine up, and on the crank pulley there's a little mark, a little cutout there, and there's a line here for TDC, top dead center. So if we put a big socket on there, rotate that clockwise so it comes round to there, then that should line everything up. So now that we've rotated the crankshaft around, it will eventually bring up these 2 lines just there on both camshaft pulleys, and it should say exhaust and in on that little bar there where the white dot is, and it should say exhaust and in on the other one. And when those 2 lines line up, that should allow you to fit the locking tool in between the teeth there, if you can just get it. If you get it in the right place, it'll just slide in smoothly and easily, he said, making it look really difficult. There, like that. So once that's slid along the teeth, that's locking those in position, and that's good. And with the locking tool on the camshaft gears, the crankshaft and the little white mark should line up with a little mark on the plastic cover. You can just about see it there. I then just use my impact driver to go straight onto the crank bolt and spin it right off. And there's the bigger mark that crankcase pulley lines up to. We can now remove the lower plastic cover. I think it's only 3 bolts. Hit a bit of an issue. The 3 small bolts, which is just 8mm, holding the plastic bottom cover on, 2 of them will come out easily. This one is already rounded off, and I've probably rounded it off a little bit more. It's definitely stuck, so I'm going to have to get the Dremel out and just make it a 7mm bolt and see if I can get it. And now that that bottom cover is out of the way, just to confirm you've got it in correctly at effectively 90 degrees above top dead center, those 2 little dots should line up with that ridge on the crankcase there, and that's just confirmation you've got it lined up correctly. And now we have the next step, which gives us access to that nut that's right in the middle. That's the timing belt adjuster. We're going to remove that middle nut and the nut that's just to the right, can't quite see it, that holds the little spring clip into place. That's not on very tight. That one moderately tight, but it's 10mm and you can get good access to it and it'll just spin off. Yeah, the bolt's out for the timing belt adjuster, so that's taking the tension off the belt, and we should now just be able to slowly work it off the teeth, both on the bottom and around the top, like that. Lovely, another step done. Now we can move on to the top of the engine, And the first thing to do is remove the two brace bars that go across and this middle nut. Get them out the way and in a safe place. Then from the left hand side of the engine, remove the coil pack leads. It's supposed to just clip out of here, but I find that really difficult, so I've just undone the two bolts that hold the bracket to the head. I find that easier to get them out of the way. Always put the bolts back in the holes though, so you don't lose them. Then we can remove the dipstick and the oil filler tube. Just a couple of bolts and a little connection on the end there, just pulls apart. Then we can remove the vacuum pipe, which is this one here, which is the little red washer there. Now if you pull it gently, it doesn't want to come out, but if you put your finger on that little red edge, push it in and then pull the pipe, it just comes right out. Perfect. And if we remove the spring clip from the little pipe here, just by the throttle linkage, we should just be able to whittle that off. Might need a little help with a screwdriver. Right, the next step is to remove the small pipe here from the fuel return to the manifold. I find it far easier to remove the coolant reservoir, a couple of bolts and a couple of pipes, and it's out the way, and that gives you far better access down this side of the engine. Next is this little EVP pipe, goes to the canister here. A little spring clip can come off quite easily. This pipe didn't want to come off, had to get a pair of pliers on it, give it the old wiggle and pull trick, and it was really quite tight, but got it. Then we can just pull that canister straight up and just push it to one side. And then the next step is to pull out a little bracket that holds the throttle cable. It's just on a plastic double washer thing. It just pushes into there. So give it a little pull towards you, towards the back of the car, and it'll be out. And then all we've got to do is disconnect the throttle cable. Yes, throttle cable's a little bit fiddly. You have to feed it underneath here, and that then releases what's effectively like an old bicycle brake nodule on the end. If you give it a pull, it should just, come out. Yeah, that's fiddly. Okay, fuel return pipe removed from there, but that little yellow clip there was reluctant to let go, and the pipe itself was stuck on, so a bit of a struggle. Well, removing the two small 8mm nuts that hold the fuel return pipe, which is this one here, you can see it wiggling down there. You can get at the ones that are this end, you can get through the wheel arch and see it, get something on it. This one is absolutely tucked right under here. You have to get your hand right in. It's a horrible, funny angle. You just got to whittle your span around till you get on it. You basically can't see it. You've got to do it all by feel. And once it's loose, you can get your fingers on it and pull it out. But trying to get it back in, well, that's going to be a real task. Next step is to disconnect this big electrical connector. It's just positioned here by the fuel return line. You have to pull out this sort of plastic grip and then just give it a pull and it'll come apart. Nice. Back over the right hand side of the engine, and the next step is to remove the coolant pipe into the manifold. Looks just like fairly easy access there with a screwdriver. Should be straightforward. It's back to the top of the engine and release these two clips and pull those pipes off. Again, it should be straightforward. Yeah, breather pipes are off, nice and easy, and then we disconnect the map sensor, which I believe to be this one here. Looks like it's just got a little toggle. We'll give it a pull, get that out of the way. And the next step is to release the fuel feed. It's got one of those push-on connectors. You just pull the orange against the black sleeve there and then push it off, and just coat the petrol in a bit of a towel. Okay, we're working our way along the manifold bolts. You can see one's near enough all the way out there. That's an easy one. There's another one which is a nut just further on there, and if I go round here, the top, you can see where you're working. They are basically there. You can just about get your hand in and get a spanner on them or a socket. It's tight though. Right, if you're still watching the video, well done and thank you. But here's a top tip coming up, because we're trying to get the bolts out for the induction manifold, and basically you can't see them. So I'm having to resort to my little camera, which we bought from a well-known supermarket. We only went in for a bag of peas, but hey ho, came out with that. And I'm using a 4 or 5 inch bar with my wobbly socket on, which as you can see I've taped up so it's not so wobbly, and it's got a 10mm socket on the end. And basically by sticking that down there, watching the camera, I can get it on the bolts, and I've managed to get them loose. But basically you can't see what you're doing without that. Really difficult. So now I've removed the air filter box completely to get this pipe, which was tucked away right down there, just held in with a cable tie, out the way, so we can get better access to the final bolt, which really is tucked right underneath there. Progress is being made. We have all the stud bolts out from the inlet manifold, but there is a bracket which is bolted here where my finger's pointing, and that's just attached to, I don't know what, underneath, subframe maybe, but we need to get that bolt out the way, and then we should be able to just lift the manifold right off. So now we should be able to just whittle this off its studs like that. Good. Now what do we do with it? Next step, progress being made. Camshaft gears come off, just one big nut in the middle, and they just wiggle themselves. A little bit of help with a screwdriver, just gently prise it out, and off it comes. And then we have to remove the plastic cover, which is this one here. I've got most of the bolts out, but one of them, I don't know whether you can see it up there, I don't think so. My finger's over the lens. But one of them is just there, sort of right in the middle picture now. That one with a light shining on it, that one comes in from the back side, so watch out for that one. And it's 8mm, it's not on very tight, but yeah, the others come out nice and easy. There's one up there, but that one comes in from the other side. And there's the timing belt rear cover out the way. We've had a slight mishap. This little grommet and its little piece of plastic just broke off. I heard it hit the floor. It should be like that. We may be able to repair it, or we'll see how much a second-hand one is. But these things happen with plastic that's 20 odd years old. Never mind. Now we can remove the spark plug cover and take the spark plugs out the way, cam sensor out the way, and then undo the small bolts all the way around the top of the cam cover and get that off. And the next step is to remove the alternator completely. Then we can remove the exhaust heat shield, just a bolt there, one right down the bottom and one on the top there, and that should just wiggle itself off. As easy as that. Okay, so the heat shield didn't actually want to get out the way. It's just fouled itself on the exhaust, but it's out the way enough to get the next step done, which is the alternator bracket. A couple of bolts holding it in place, and I think it's attached to a little shield there as well, but we'll get those undone, get that out the way. And there's another step done. The exhaust manifold, 5 bolts taken off, and just pulled it out the way. I know what you're thinking. Are we nearly there yet? Well, not quite. We can now take the camshaft covers off and expose the head bolts. As you can see, we finally got the exhaust heat shield out the way. Once we removed the alternator bracket, it just came out the way. We've managed to undo all the bolts that hold this plastic cam cover, and it should just lift up. It's heavy-ish, and I'll probably have to remove those electrical cables just from there, and then I'll lift it out the way. Camshaft cover is out the way, and we've disconnected a couple of water pipes and the electrical connector just from there. So there we are. After another day's struggling with it, we've finally managed to loosen the head bolts. They have an E12 star-shaped head on them, and you'll need an E12 socket to get at them. Fairly tight, but I got them. And you get them out the way, and then just wiggle the head off. And that's what you're left with. That's the head gasket still on the top. We'll have a look at that tomorrow. And we'll have a look at the head itself and see whether there's any damage to it. Okay, so we've reached what should be the halfway point of replacing the head gasket on my MGTF, and I'm going to cut this video into two halves. Watch out for the second half, which will be the checking, the cleaning up process and the reassembly. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you have, please like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell, because we've got many more exciting videos coming soon, both on the MG, the camper van, the Ferrari and the E-Types. You all take care. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.